Well, I hope everybody's alright today in this really excessive heat that we're having in the UK. 87 degrees at the moment, and it's obviously even hotter in this greenhouse. But I did spot something in this greenhouse this morning which was really nice to see, and I'll show you what that is. Well, it looks like we've got this first tomato. Really good to see. I'm also having to retie this tomato plant up because these branches have gone outwards, and that branch was right over there, so if we don't support it, it's going to end up kinking and breaking, and it happens to be the one that's got all the flowers on, which will become tomatoes, just like that one there. So just keep your eye on that as these plants grow, because at some point they will start to get a bit out of control, and you need to try and keep this completely upright. So I've tied this one just there to the centre pole, and then the other branch on the other side. We pull the branch in, we don't drag the string, or you'll cut through your branch. And then we're just going to tie that, but not completely tight, just so it's anchored. Now those can't go anywhere, so as these turn into tomatoes, the weight is not going to pull it down. Obviously I'm also keeping a really close eye on the plants today, with it being so hot. These butternut squash have dried out really quickly, so they're going to have to be bottom watered. So I popped it in this tray that I'm filling a quarter full or so with water, and then we'll level it out as well, just so we know every plant's getting its fair share of watering. Something else that's definitely worth mentioning as well: when the weather starts to get this hot, don't get your hose pipe and water your plants with it straight away, because I will guarantee you the water that comes out will be red hot. I did it last year, and I used to just run the water onto my hand just to make sure it wasn't too hot, and on one occasion it was actually that hot it really hurt when I sprayed the water onto my hand. So you don't want to be blasting water at that temperature onto your plants. So just let it run free, just so you know it's cooled down enough to not cause any damage. These are those plants that we moved yesterday, if you saw the video, and we moved them into shade and gave them a bit of water because they was all hanging down limp, lifeless almost, and now they've all perked back up. Just for that little move. And as we did obviously with the peppers. And although peppers come from a hot climate, so love the heat, when they're in pots this size they're going to dry out too quick, so it is best to move them. And everything else is looking perfectly fine too. And although it is really hot today, that wind's back as well, so some of my potato plants, like this one that wasn't looking too good a few days ago, have took a right beating. So this is going to end up being a potato reveal at some point very soon, because the foliage is basically dead. And as you go through today, it's worth just going and keep checking on your plants. I've had the window in this and the door wide open since early this morning, but it's still getting very dry in here. But as long as you can still see a bit of damp around the base of your plants, you know they're alright for now. And the same with these. There's no signs of stress or limp leaves. But again, what we can see is we've got more little tomatoes starting to grow, which is brilliant news. And I have been round and given everything a feed of diluted tomato food just to boost those nutrients, because once they start flowering and trying to produce fruit for you, they're going to need extra nutrients to make a decent tomato. While at the same time, you need to offer them support constantly. You don't want to stress these plants out because they will start and drop those flowers. And these little plants that we've got in here, they're the Garden Pearl bush cherry tomato. And because it's so hot in the greenhouse, yesterday I thought I'll take them out and I'll put them outside because they're in containers, which is brilliant. Apart from the fact that then that wind got up and started battering these plants from left to right. So I've had to move them back in and give them a bit of water. And they're still quite heavy, so they'll be fine. And once again, with this plant, this branch is growing outward, so they need penning up. I want them to go up straight, not out. And you can guide them yourself. But this time of year, when you see things like this happening, sort it straight away. Don't wait for another day. Because if the weight of this fruit breaks that, you've lost all those. And there is yet another side shoot. They never stop. So same as I did on that other plant, it is basically just a case of making a loose knot. Don't pull it tight on the stem or it will start to cut into your stem, which you definitely don't want. And then moving that branch in yourself. Take it around that other one next to it and then tie it off. Quick and easy, job done. And this pole is perfectly stable to hold the weight. But if it gets too heavy, most greenhouses have little bars on the side. So you can just tie a piece of string around there. And then tie it to your support that you've got in your greenhouse. Just tight. So now in the event that this plant does get too heavy, it's not going anywhere. And it's these little jobs that you need to stay on top of, because before you know it, they'll have run away with you. And this one is another example of the same thing. So what we need to do, again, is pull these together like that. We don't want them hanging outwards. As I keep saying, the farther out they hang, as that fruit grows, that will get bent more and more and more until it snaps. Job of the day. Although it is a bit hot in greenhouse to be doing this, but if it needs doing, it needs doing. Because I guarantee if you don't do it when you see it, you will forget. This one's already been secured, that one's not. So let's get that pulled in. And again, ease it in yourself, don't drag on it, because that string will cut straight through that stem. And we'll just hold it in place while we just tie it off to that cane. Done. And obviously while you're here, check for more side shoots, because you'll be surprised through the season at just how many you will miss. Now I need to get out of here, it's too hot. So it has turned out to be the day they said it was going to be, with one exception: that annoying wind is back again. So a combination of 87 degrees and that wind is going to dry your plants out even quicker. Way too hot to be in a greenhouse today. But when you see jobs that need doing, you need to do them. You haven't got the choice to leave it, because by the time you do come back and realise something's wrong, it will be too late. And since it takes such a long time to get plants from seed to harvest, we don't want to take any risks whatsoever that could jeopardise even just a handful of fruits, because you've worked really hard to get to that stage. And as you've just seen, those all those potato plants that we moved out of the patio area yesterday, which is full sun, because they was going limp, hanging down the sides of the tubs. So we moved them into shade yesterday, gave them a deep water, and they've been there since, and now they've all sprung back to life. And if we'd have left them, the situation would have been twice as bad, and maybe even unfixable. And besides, when there's days like this, get all your jobs done early, and then you can sit out and enjoy the sun, have a drink, knowing that everything's been sorted. And one other thing that's definitely worth a mention: what you're doing today is not a one-off. As we approach summer, we're going to get days like this more often than not, and it's going to get hotter, so you might as well get used to that routine, because you'll be doing that for the whole season. So as you're looking after your plants for a couple of hours a day in your garden, and especially in your greenhouses, making sure that everything has got enough to drink. Make sure you stay hydrated as well, because if you start to feel a little bit under weather, just for the sake of making sure you drink, there's nobody to look after these plants during the hottest time of the year, and the results of that could be devastating. Anyway, the church bells are going mad, as you can probably hear. So I'm going to go around the garden and just check over some of the hoop tunnels, just to make sure there's not any problems I've missed this morning. And if you want to see how these plants progress through the end of spring, beginning of summer, then please just hit that subscribe button, press that notifications bell, and we'll see you on the next update. You all have a really nice weekend. Thank you for watching.